What's going on, my beautiful, sexy peoples? BMO Artist J here, guys. How's it going? Joining me as always, my cohort, my partner in crime, the eyebrowless one, the only.
Tiffany Draven, welcome to our show today, everybody.
And welcome to a very special edition of Gouki Discussion Time, the segment where we talk about things going on within the relevancy of the wrestling world, let you guys know what is going on, let you guys know how we feel, yada yada yada. Let's get on with the show with all that BS being said. And the episode is going to be dedicated to a huge topic conversation. So I guess you could say this entire episode is going to be a little bit broken at times. Segue.
Because
But
you're so proud of that.
oh yes, I am. But the episode is going to be talking about the retirement of Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, along with his brother Jeff, were known as either you can call them Team Extreme, the Hardy Boys, the Hardys, the high flying duo, however you want to call it, have innovated the tag team within the WWE or slash WWF back in their time with the likes of Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Acolytes. The list can go on. But what makes this episode a bit sad is the turnabout, what's going to end up happening with Matt Hardy, and the inevitable truth that he is going to retire. He has always been posting stuff on Instagram, kind of teasing at his inevitable retirement, saying stuff like, I want to thank you all for supporting me, and he's always been posting. It's not the usual Matt that we see. It's a side of Matt that is making you really go down this path where you don't want to know and really see what's going to end up happening. But it's the inevitable truth because it's been said that he's going to be working, that he is learning to work behind the scenes as a producer because of the inevitable truth that maybe the next month or two he will announce his retirement. This isn't going to be an easy one because we both grew up with the Hardys. We both, Matt and Jeff have been a huge influence, both creatively, their personalities, and what they do for both myself and Tiffany. So this isn't going to be an easy topic to talk about because this is talking about arguably one of the two best performers out there, and it's just going to be really hard. But take it away, Tiffany, as to what you feel about this whole thing, because we all know I've been a babbling baby about it.
Well, of course I'm a fucking wreck because I can honestly say the Hardy Boys are what got me into wrestling in the first place, like them and The Undertaker. I remember for Christmas I would always ask for like their DVDs and all the documentaries about them. And just like I loved I will always love every single thing about them, even the times that they struggled so badly. But what you gotta remember is that while they just came back, this is also something that may not be completely relatively new to them, but they've been dealing with these injuries for a long time and nobody really knew about them. And I think that's what's making it hard for some people to swallow. That, people feel like absolutely betrayed. Like, he saw this all coming. Nobody knew about that besides those random hints. When, like, in all honesty, what else can he say without coming out and being like, yo, guys, I'm retiring? There's speculation I was discussing with my friend, or just an idea he had, that he would end up being the broken general manager, which I could see him going in. However, I worry at this point, like, what are they going to do with Jeff? Matt's going to be Jeff's boss. Do you think that they could create something out of that?
I could see that with Matt being the broken manager of Monday Night Raw, because we all know Kurt Angle is going to be coming back, but coming back as a wrestler. So that's, we know that story. But it worries me too what's going to end up happening with Jeff, because Jeff likes to take things to the extreme. He always has, always will. He likes to entertain the crowd. He likes to do all his normal crazy antics. But the problem with Jeff is that we know he's literally broken. Like, that's not even putting the whole pun into it. Like, this man literally is broken. Like, from all the injuries, from all the things that he has done to his body, like, this man has literally like done a whisper in the wind from the top of a steel cage when he was doing a steel cage match. I believe it was for the Raw tag. No, I believe it was for the WWE Tag Team belts against Edge and Christian. I believe. Correct me on that one, ladies and my sexy beautiful peoples. But another thing that really just bothers me is how WWE is still continuing allowing Jeff to do these crazy things, like how we saw last week on Sunday on SmackDown. You know, we saw Jeff do a swanton bomb off of the top of a speaker that was highly elevated onto Randy Orton, who was laying on a table. Now we all know that Jeff is hurting really bad, and we the fans understand that. But what bothers me is that WWE doesn't really, I want to say, isn't really reliable or literally have that liability in the sense where, okay, this man is literally hurting and you know that he can't do all these things, so why are you allowing it? The more that Jeff is doing it, the more it's going to end up, I don't want to say he's going to end up in a wheelchair because that's the worst case scenario. I don't want to go that far, but it bothers me what's going to end up happening with him because they're already working with Matt. They're already teaching him. They're already like training him how to be a backstage role. But with Jeff, what's gonna happen with him? Because we all know the story.
Blindly.
Huh?
Like he's gonna walk in blindly. He's gonna be like, I don't know what the fuck you guys want me to do.
Exactly, and that's what bothers me because us as fans have to think about what's gonna end up happening to Jeff Hardy. It's sort of that whole reversal thing where now for me to explain, we all know the story of Jeff Hardy falling from grace. It is a legendary story that has been told by wrestling fans all over the world. That Jeff Hardy was at the peak of his career at a singles run when he was on Monday Night Raw back when they did the first ever draft thing. He was on Raw. He was doing a singles run, and he was good. Like there was a lot of expectation from him, but he would be no showing at shows. He was no showing at events, and WWE wanted him to check into rehab because they found out his problems. Whereas Jeff didn't want to go into it, so he was released from WWE. So fast forward, he ends up going to TNA, and he becomes an established star at TNA. But just like with WWE, he no shows events. He ends up having his drug addiction kind of take over him. 2007 makes his most monumental, crazy return ever, and that was his first match against Edge. Now, even though the match ended in a disqualification, and John Cena obviously getting involved because at that time, John Cena was a soldier, but we're not talking about Mr. I Can't See. We're talking about the man himself, the Enigma, where Jeff had a promising future after his return. He had a huge, great singles run with the IC belt. He recaptured the tag team belts with Matt. He also was able to obtain the Covenant WWE Championship and the World Heavyweight Championship. But again, he fell from grace from his addiction. He did want to seek help, and eventually he was released. Jump forward to back to TNA. High in the mountain again. Highest he can be within TNA. But mind you, we all know the story of TNA with the Hulkster and Eric Bischoff and Ric Flair. We don't need to go into how TNA was ruined by that whole catastrophe. We're talking about how Jeff Hardy was on top of the mountain again. But me and Tiffany were talking about this before. And I think Tiffany should really tell you this story the match between Sting and Jeff, because I could go on about this, but for her, it's a more emotional moment, and I rather her tell you the whole experience.
This is going to turn into a lot deeper of an episode than I was originally intending. One of the ways the Hardys got me through a lot of things I went through is that my story is very similar to Matt and Jeff's. I dealt with my own addictions, like, young, and, you know, it was hard. It was really hard. And so, seeing him doing so well for so long really, really inspired me to, you know, better myself and everything. And seeing him fail and seeing him go out drugged out of his mind, just like, no pun intended, absolutely fucking broke me. Because, like, here's a man who you know has worked so hard in his life to make it to where he is and have to throw it all away because he made the biggest mistake of his life. That's what really gets to me at this point, and that's what fucking breaks my heart. He had the potential there. He was ready. He had the match. He had everything. It was all taken away from him because he put some oxy in his system, and he was bugging out, and he was way too chill. Sting broke character, even saying, like, everyone was saying this is bullshit. Sting was saying, I agree. You know, like, as soon as he walked out, though, everybody knew he was high on something. He apparently was high on a lot of things, mainly being oxycodone at that particular time. What we don't realize as fans is just how much wrestlers deal with their own addictions, how much it really affects not just, you know, it affects people, celebrities, people that you would never think would deal with this. For example, Matt Hardy, he was an alcoholic. He, on Twitter, once openly told his fans he was going to kill himself. You know, this isn't their first time around the rodeo. Like, this is what the Hardy Boys have dealt with their entire life. And this is what they deal with on their daily basis. You know, it's what they have to do. And while it's heartbreaking that they have to do it, if they want to continue their careers and everything, they have to do it. And unfortunately, Jeff wasted a lot of his career giving it all up to the drugs and the alcohol. Matt gave up a lot of it from his anger and his alcohol. A lot of the stuff he had left WWE for, especially during Lolita and Edge and Kane, all that shit, that wasn't kayfabe. That was legit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he got actually arrested that one night. Like, he called Edge by his he said, "Adam, you bastard, I'm gonna make your life miserable." He had to be escorted out by police and went to jail that night. Like, the Hardys go through the real shit that you don't think that people deal with. And then you see them dealing with it and you're like, oh, this has to be happening so many other places. And I feel like through their runs, they almost make us remind ourselves that wrestlers are people. Like, they're human. They're going to make their mistakes. Like, they're going to be fallible. We're all human. I think it was more just like, wow, and so many people looked up to him for it and saw him as an inspiration like I did. And, you know, it broke me and it broke a lot of other people as soon as he started giving into the addiction again.
No, I did.
And, you know, I still kind of hold that with him.
No, and I get that because I myself, I've never had dealt with addiction. I've known people who have struggled and have fought and clawed their way into getting better. I've met a lot of people who have fought their way and conquered their addiction only for their addiction to come back, because there's an old saying, as much as you might get rid of that baggage that's in your bedroom, It's always going to be there. It's just you working on it, unloading it one bit at a time. That even though it's going to be an empty baggage that is still going to fill with your demons, at least you emptied it bit by bit. But there are some people I've known who have let their addiction consume them to where really bad things have happened. In the case with Matt and Jeff, see, now for me, I consider myself more as a Jeff Hardy fan. I've always been a bigger fan of Jeff more so than Matt. I do love Matt. I do. Matt is very talented. He's very gifted. But I was always lean towards Jeff. And with that, I was aware of all of Jeff's issues, his drug problems, hell, how his house was raided because he had drugs in his home. That whole story. But for us as fans, we're more accustomed to the, I guess, travesty of Jeff Hardy's life that we're just, we're accepting of it. We know that all this crazy stuff is happening, and it's really just no surprise. But what became more of a surprise for me is that I watched the WWE 24 documentary special on the Hardys. I was shocked and amazed at the stuff that was being said on Matt's part, because us as fans wouldn't really paint Matt in the same picture with his brother Jeff. No one really, for me though, I always thought Matt was this kindred spirit, the guy who saw his younger brother kind of dive deep into his own personal hell, and then Matt was just learning from his baby brother, which is that whole reversal of things, because it's supposed to be the baby sibling is supposed to learn from the older sibling or siblings and learn from them to know the right from wrong. That was just me. But with that being said, I never knew about Matt's addiction to painkillers. I never knew. Huh?
Alcohol.
Alcohol and his addiction to painkillers. Painkillers was one of the things that he said in the documentary, which would eventually lead to his release because he was abusing it so bad. And you just pointed out, I never knew about his alcoholism. I never knew about that. I never realized that how hard he was dealing with his demons, and how his whole outlook on life was to literally drown himself to make himself feel better. And in the documentary, they said that even Gregory Helms, who has been a very close friend to the Hardys ever since their days at their promotion that they started Omega, said that he would be over Matt's place and Matt would be drinking and partying and acting all fun and goofy. But then Greg was like, Matt, what are you doing? There's no reason to party. Come on now. And Matt was spiraling out of control, and then it eventually got to the point where he got into his really bad car accident that he literally almost died. And as Tiff pointed out, he went on Twitter and was announced to the world that he was going to kill himself. For me, it's heart-wrenching to see anyone go through that, because no one in this world deserves to go through any of that. But I think what hits me the most is the fact that I grew up with both of these individuals who have both inspired me creatively and inspired me in the way where, I'm not going to lie, it was actually, this is actually a true thing. The reason why I was able to get through my stutter as a child, because I had a really bad stutter. And the reason why I was able to get through it was because whenever I heard Matt and Jeff talk, but the way they talk with determination, it just inspired me to just show that if you work towards something, it's possible. And I work towards conquering that little stupid stutter. And I know a lot of you guys are like wondering, well, how is that relevant to wrestling? How is that relevant to anything? It's relevant because Matt and Jeff Hardy are one of the many wrestlers who inspire people every single day on their high flying antics, their technical prowess, how they are in the ring, how they are outside the ring, how they are the most kind, kindred spirits you can possibly imagine. But to know all these things happen to them and how they're still fighting their demons, it's both a shocker and it for us, for being a fan, it hurts because these were two people who you would grow up watching and you never knew about really any of their problems until they came out and admitted it. And as Tiffany pointed out, some fans do feel betrayed because some didn't really know, especially with Matt. But then you understand because we're all human at the end of the day. And I think that's the most important thing, is that we're all human. We all make mistakes and we all learn. But in the case with Matt and Jeff, mostly Matt, it's gotten to the point now where he's finally conquered his demons. He's finally achieved the mainstream status on the wrestling scene that he has ever had before, introducing the broken brilliance that he had in TNA, introducing it into the independent circuit, and introducing it into the WWE. He was finally getting that recognition now. Even though he was being poorly booked, he was still recognized for his creativity, and he was still recognized for being a great wrestler. But with all this news going on that he possibly and will inevitably retire, is what hurts a lot of us within the community of wrestling, because for me, I don't want to accept it, and I think no one does. But at the end of the day, you can't do something that you loved forever. And I think that's a true saying for what's going to end up happening with Matt.
They both lost their mother at a young age, and I recently lost my mother, and it sounds cheesy as fuck, but whenever I was upset about it, because my mom always knew how much I loved wrestling, I would talk to her. I would just watch their matches and just kind of, like, think to myself, like, this is how, like, they made it all the way there, and I'm sitting here thinking that I can't even make it to the next day when they survived their entire life without her, but they were able to overcome everything. You know, it's all about putting yourself in this perspective and putting yourself in a place that, like, you need to be. You know, nobody's gonna hold your hand through this. You know, this shit that you gotta deal with. And some people deal with it better than others, and some people just don't know how to deal with it at all. I lost my mom to an alcoholism addiction. You know, it's a lot more common than you think. And even just seeing these wrestlers even just go through it, like, you'd never think that it was possible. And I sure as fuck never thought that friggin', you know, my hero since I've been little, it went through the exact same thing my mom did. Like, never would have I ever thought that happened. It's the pure shock of just, wait, what the fuck?
I think, with that being said, though, adding to that, I think one of the things that we as people forget, that people who perform on a daily basis, such as wrestlers or musicians or any sort of job where you are performing in front of people, they're human too. And they go through problems as much as we do. But the thing is, most performers do a really good job at trying to hide their personal life because they don't want people to really gossip or judge them based off of their personal life, their personal issues, or what they went through growing up. And I never really knew about the Hardys and how Matt and Jeff lost their mother I was until I was 18, 19, around that. I got this book for my birthday, and it was the Hardy Boys autobiography. Really great book, really great. It's a in-depth look into how they were raised all the way up into that current point within WWE. And when I read it, I never really knew that their mother passed away until I read their autobiography. And when I read that part when they lost their mother, wow, because us as fans, you never would expect them to go through stuff that normal people go through, losing a parent. Because Matt and Jeff are superheroes. They're people who inspire us on a daily basis, who little kids look up to, and they see them do these extraordinary things, and they look at them that they're superheroes, that they are larger than life, that they can do things that we can't do, and that's what makes them amazing. But at the end of the day, they're just humans like we do. And with Matt and Jeff, they went through a lot, and they went through a lot, especially with losing their mom, and then how their father had to literally work overtime as being a parent for his two sons. And to this day, Matt and Jeff literally give so much credit for their father. They give him all the credit in the world because he was able to raise two boys after losing someone that he loved and was hoping to love for the rest of his life. But it's just learning all these things and learning that they're going through the same problems we are going through. It changes your mentality. It changes your perception of what you think about certain people, that you thought of them as these larger than life characters, when in reality, they're just like us. They're dealing with these problems. They're doing the best they can, just like the best we all can, with our issues, our problems, whether it's losing a parent or going through issues with your depression or having suicidal tendencies. The list can go on. But the main thing is, what really made me have a lot more respect for them as individuals, both Matt and Jeff, is the fact that they are fighting their battles. They're fighting to try and get better. They're fighting to do what they can to survive, because Matt has two boys and Jeff has two girls. They have their families. And in a way, they're finally growing up. And it's great. But at a cost that it's too late, that it's kind of sad for how it's come down to, for them to really realize, with Matt potentially retiring and Jeff, we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully Jeff stays wrestling for like a little longer, maybe, hopefully. We don't know. It's just, for me, I've learned to give so much more respect for them, because I realize that they're just like us. But they continue to inspire people and inspire us to show that no matter what happens, as long as you believe and fight through your troubles, fight through your problems, and fight through, each difficult task ahead, you can achieve what you want. And even though they've had their, humps here and there, they still try to do what they can to remain on top.
I'm a little emotional right now, so if you want to keep talking.
Because this is not easy. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I literally thought this would be a little easy. It's not. This is not easy to talk about.
You never really realize just how much you appreciate wrestlers or just people in general, until you realize like they're gonna have to go. And it's not like it's gonna be gone forever. They're still gonna be around in the company, but not to be able to see them the way that you did when you were growing up is what kind of sucks. I'm sorry, guys. I don't. You're never gonna hear me be a blubbering baby again. But it's like the exact same thing. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just
Well,
I'm just trying to hold it in.
I'm still like, oh, dude, we did not go into this thinking it clearly, did we?
No, we didn't. We just went right. We just went right into this, and now we're dealing with the consequences to it.
God damn it. Well, yeah, we're gonna put this up because this is raw. This is some raw shit.
Oh yeah, no, this is. But I guess all in all, to wrap this up, my sexy beautiful peoples, before we go into more of emotional mess, don't forget that people who inspire us, that work hard every day, are just the same as us. We're all human when it comes down to it. We're not gods. We're not anything supernatural. We're all human. But it's those humans who work hard every day to inspire hundreds of thousands of people that as long as you believe in what you thrive for, what you strive to achieve, those are the people that I commend. Then such people as Matt and Jeff Hardy, such people as Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, like the list can go on and on and on and on. These people work every day so that they can perform and inspire people and inspire small children who look up to them as superheroes, small children who are even dealing with ailments who look at them as superheroes larger than life, because these individuals don't just put on a show every day. They put on something even more special because they know that at the end of the day, they want to make each experience magical for the person, so that way the person leaves going, that was amazing. But as I said, at the end of the day, we're all human. But all we can do is be there for one another, wish for the best for one another, and truly show our support to others and inspire everyone around us and give true kindness around the world. But that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. I am BMO Otis J.
I am Tiffany Draven, and thank you guys for tuning into this episode.
And we hope you enjoyed it. And always, and I mean this, my sexy, beautiful peoples, I always mean this as strongly as I may, I really hope you all do have a nice day.